Hello, everyone. Welcome back to White Brush Academy podcast. It's been a while. I know. I'm sorry, but it's a busy day. I'm a new father right now, so it's kind of busy. So, how are you guys? Uh, I hope you guys are listening to this while doing homework or do your work or coming back from work. Actually, yeah. So today we have a very special guest, a very special friend of mine. He's been with me at FZD. Um, he's my neighbor actually, and he's really, really good at environment art. So please welcome Justin. Hi, Justin.
Hey, Yuri, how's it going?
Hi. It's
Yeah,
been
thank
a
you so,
while.
so much for having me on.
Yeah.
It has been a while. We went to FCD, what, 2016, 2017?
20. Yeah, that's the last time we talked. I think 2017,
In
right?
person, yeah.
It's been a while. Why haven't we talked ever since? I don't know.
Busy grinding.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my name is Justin. I'm a senior concept artist working in the video game industry. Most recently, I was working at a studio called Singularity 6, working on a game called Palia. And then before that, I was at a studio called Hi-Res Studios, working as an environment concept artist on the game Smite.
I want to know when we were at FZ, right? Let's go back in time to like
hmm
2016, 2017 ish. I always want to know, like, why do you want to become a concept artist? Like, and you have to go halfway, like, to the other side of the world
Yeah,
to go to
yeah, because I'm
FZD.
from the US.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, so why
It's
concept art
probably
and why
closer
FZD?
places.
Yeah, because you have brainstorm, right? At the US.
We do. I didn't. Maybe I just didn't know about it at the time.
Oh, really?
But no, the whole story is like so I don't know if I ever told you this, but I studied architecture and city planning at college, and I did some internships, kind of pivoted to like urban planning and design. But in these internships, I was like, I don't want to do this as a career. This is not fun. I don't like this.
Oh, really? Wait, you're an architect before?
I started like studying architecture, and then I switched to like city planning and design. But yeah, I was like almost done with my degree, and then Uh, at the same time, I was like playing a ton of Minecraft because Minecraft was super big back then.
Mm.
And I was like a part of this elite Minecraft team called the Voxel Box. And we're like building things, and people were paying us, and we're like getting hired by different servers to build stuff. So I was
Whoa.
like, I don't need college. I dropped out of college. Not a great decision, but which is funny because like looking back, like my parents are saints. Like if my kids do that someday, I'll be so mad. But no, I bought a plane ticket to like Thailand, I think, or maybe it was Iceland.
Mm.
Uh, anyway, I just started like backpacking around like Europe and Southeast Asia, all the while like building things in Minecraft to like pay for my hostels and my plane tickets. And then I was like, at some point, I was like, I don't know if I can do this forever. I don't know if Minecraft will be popular enough to, just build
Mm.
things in Minecraft for the rest of my life. So I'm like, what am I gonna do with my life? Uh, and at the same time, I was watching a bunch of like things videos on YouTube. And I was like, this is like such a cool thing. It's like, okay, I got like a slight history in like video games and design, and had a passion for like making worlds, because that's what I was doing in Minecraft. So I was like, all right, how can I transfer those skills and become a concept artist? Because that looks super cool. So yeah, it's really Fang's fault that I went to Singapore. So I
Oh.
was like in the area. So I was like, I think I might have been in Indonesia actually. But when I
Oh,
was like,
really?
yeah, trying to figure out what I was going to do next, so I stopped by the school in Singapore. I asked them to get like a tour. They toured me around. I was like, okay, I definitely want to go here.
Oh, so
Because the school seems super cool, and Singapore is like a super cool city.
it is, yeah.
So yeah, and then
Wait,
I
so you've
flew
been
home, saved up some money, and went
uh,
to FCD later.
so you've been to FZD before for like tour?
Yeah, I did a tour like spring of 2016,
Oh, okay. And then immediately you go like,
and
yeah,
yeah,
I
immediately
wanna.
got a plane ticket home. Started making my application portfolio.
So you didn't know anything about concept art before FZD, or do you have any like
Just
idea?
from Fang's videos. Like that's it. That's actually it.
Yeah, yeah. Because I thought like concept art was like very popular in the US, or was it like not that popular? Because like here in Indonesia, nobody knows what concept art is. Like even
I think in the
students,
U.S.,
like
unless you're like a serious gamer collecting art books, you probably don't know what concept art is. I just tell people I'm a game developer, and they're like, "Oh, okay,
true,
okay."
same here. Unless they ask us like specifically like which part of the game development are you,
Exactly. It's like
then
it's too hard to explain what concept art is.
yeah, because yeah, you don't want to know.
So yeah, make art for games. That's all you need to know.
Did you also do illustration or like you're purely concept art?
Now I've only done concept art mostly for video games. When I was like, so after FCD, I sent out a bunch of applications. I was like, "Ooh, I'm ready. I'm ready to work in game development." But nobody would hire me. I even got some calls where it's like, "Yeah, your work is okay, but we're looking for someone with more experience." And I'm like, "This is an entry level job."
Most studios
Yeah,
like they ask for experience, at least 1 year experience, all that kind of
yeah,
stuff. Like
yeah.
how did you get your very first job?
So I was just trying to like make some money to like pay rent and stuff. So I became like a freelancer. And I
Mm.
was just like spamming studios, even like indie studios and stuff. I would just like spam on my art station.
Oh, nice.
And eventually someone like got back to me and they hired me to just work like 1 day a week on some indie game they were making just to do a bunch of concepts for them. And then I, one of the places I kind of like sent my application to was an art studio called Aquatic Moon, run by Trent Kanuga, who's a former Blizzard concept artist.
Mm.
And he brought me on subcontracted to work on a couple different projects with him, and that kind of like built up my just kind of like my resume, I guess, of like even if it's like small little tasks, it's like building up like okay, I worked on this game and I worked on this game,
Mm.
and so that kind of built up over time. Eventually, uh, I was kind of getting some contracts on my own. I did like an Oculus VR commercial. I did like a Clash of Clans short film. Worked on like I think like a board game at one point.
Oh, board
And
game.
so like yeah, I was freelancing for about 2 years, just kind of like when like every project is like another little line on the port in the resume.
Mm-hmm.
So even though like by the time I applied to high res for that environment concept art position, I had all these other little projects that I'd worked on. So it's kind of how I personally got around like the 2 years of experience. It's like all right, I have 2 years of experience now. Was I did I have clients the entire time? Not really, but it was still 2 years, and I've got a bunch of stuff on my resume, so it's good enough.
Where did you send those portfolios of yours? Like, did you go to like social media or did you like personally email the companies? Or like, do you
I
find
think I
like.
just did a lot of like cold email. Like I did like game dev map. And I wouldn't say it says like a super low success rate, like less than 1%. But I just went to like Game Dev Map and found a bunch of studios nearby and like indie studios around the US to like
Mm.
send my resume to be like, hey, if you need concept artists, I am here.
Even like today, like there are a lot of junior artists that sent me
Mhm.
emails exactly like you did.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, if you need concept art, I'm open for work. Here's my resume and my portfolio, and like,
But hey, at least you've heard of them now,
but yeah,
seen
yeah,
their work.
yeah. Some
If
of
it
them
like
are
super
great.
stands out, maybe you can like refer it.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Some
mean,
of
as a junior, yeah, trying to get in, it's tough, but
it's really hard.
gotta hustle any way you can.
Yeah,
Try everything.
like how long, like the interval between FZD when you graduate FZD and your very
Mhm.
first job. Like how long does it take for you to land that very
It
first
was
job?
like so it took me like 3 or 4 months to even get like an indie client, and
Oh,
then a
that's
few more months,
fast.
and then
Yeah.
I mean, this was just like 1 day a week, so I was like,
Yeah, but
So I
I
was just like
think
after FCD, sending out a bunch of applications, not hearing anything. Or I'd hear stuff, or they'd be like, "Yeah, we want someone with more experience." So it's
right.
like, all right, maybe I'll focus on like smaller projects, indie projects, try and build up the resume.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so
yeah.
yeah, it took a few months. I was just kind of like, because at the end of FCD, I was like, what do I do? So I just kept grinding because FCD didn't really teach us how to like paint very well. I would say they taught us a lot of like
Yeah,
design fundamentals and line art.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
was like trying to teach myself how to be like a painter and do all
Mm.
that stuff. But yeah, so I was freelancing for about 2 years uh, before I was finally called back for an interview with an in-house studio.
Yeah, but 3 months is pretty quick. I haven't had any job for like 6 months or so. No freelance, no calls, no nothing.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's pretty tough when like right when you get out of school. It's probably the toughest time.
Yeah, it is tough. So,
But then it's like once you get in a studio, you're kind of set. Unless the industry, totally crashes like it is right now.
I know, right? Yeah. So like for your first job, you must have had like so many interviews before.
Yes, I don't know if you've had this, but like interviewing at studios is an intense process.
It is. Like, did they call you to the studios or like did you call online?
Yeah, so I was living like in the Midwest, like in the Ohio area. I don't know if your listeners will know, but and the high res is down in Atlanta, which is like driving it would take like 10 hours or 8 hours or something.
Whoa.
But it's like a couple-hour flight. The U.S. is huge. But yeah, so I did like a phone interview, which was like a short one, and they said, "Hey, we want to fly you down for like an in-person interview." So
Oh.
they did like this was like pre-COVID. Like I don't know if studios do this as much anymore, but
Mm.
pre-COVID they would like fly you down, get you a hotel, arrange for like transport from the airport and all that to the hotel and then to the studio for the interview for the in-person interviews.
Oh wow.
And it's like a whole day thing. It's like I want to say it was like 5 or 6 hours of interviews, and
Six
it'll just be like
hours?
1 hour at a time. Like you'll interview with like your direct leads, and then you'll interview with like maybe an art director. You'll interview with like a bunch of different artists. Um, with like I think I even had like one with the game director. So yeah, it's a process. Like
Whoa, it's kind of different than my studios in
yeah,
Indonesia. Like that's hardcore, man. Like
and
6
that's how all of them have been so far.
Oh, really?
The
Oh.
difference is like post COVID now it's like mostly like digital, like on Zoom or like Google Meet or something.
Yeah, yeah. Did they test you with the like art test or
Oh yeah, sorry, I totally forget. So before they flew me down, I did do an art test.
like I want to know like how does the process works, for like studios, especially in the US, like AAA studios. You apply and then what's next?
So yeah, you apply, um, and then if they like your application, then they might send you an art test. If you, especially for like junior positions or like mid
Mm.
level, they're more likely to do an art test. A lot of senior level positions will kind of just skip the art test because you've got like enough work to they
Yeah.
believe you that you can do it. But especially like junior artists, a lot of times they'll do an art test. Sometimes it's paid, sometimes it's not. So as a junior, I think I don't remember if the high res one was paid or not, but it was a pretty long art test. I think I spent like a few days on it, like full days of work. Sent that back. Like maybe a studio will send an art test out to like 4 or 5 people
Mm.
out of like the 1,000 applications they get for concept art jobs. And then yeah, they'll pick like maybe one or two and fly them in house, or just do like the extended panel interviews.
Mm.
Um, and then usually they'll just pick a person after that and send an offer. And you gotta negotiate your salary and then accept the job.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it's kind of it's kind of different though, because like mine was like super quick, like art test,
Yeah,
one interview, and then you're done.
you're done. Oh my gosh,
Yeah, I know.
oh, that's crazy to me. There's just one interview.
Yeah, because like sometimes they don't even test you. Like my very first job, they don't even test me. They
Hmm.
just looked
Wow.
at my portfolio and then they'd be like, "Well, are you gonna work here?" I'm like, "Yeah." Are you open for
If you
work?
pay me, yes.
Like, yeah. When are you ready? Like, I mean,
Oh my gosh,
next
that's
week.
awesome though.
So
Yeah, I
yeah.
think if you're like, if your like portfolio really matches what they want, then they might not do an art test.
So it's kind of shocking. Like, you did like a 6 hours interview. Like,
Yeah,
holy.
and I've heard people talk from like all the big studios that it's like that everywhere. It's like a lot of series of panels, and like you make it to round one, and then round two of the interviews,
Ah.
round three, the final round.
So I want to know like any tips for you from your very experienced interview. Like, because like most students, they fumble when they uh did the interview,
Hmm.
right? Because like they don't know what they're gonna say or like how to
Yeah.
answer these questions. Because like most of the students that even from White Brush Academy, right? They did very well at art test and their portfolio is very strong. But when interview, they're like blank. You know,
Yeah.
what do I do? What do I answer? How do I answer these questions? Like, how do you like stay calm during your interview? At
I mean, it is tough to kind of like get your nerves and your jitters down. Like even I still get a little bit of jitters like right before I hit the, connect call button.
oh,
Um,
really?
I think so. My interview advice. So back before when I was interviewing at High Res, my wife has this book that was like about interviewing and like how to be a good, how to, nail an interview and do really good and make like an impression.
Mm.
And sort of the takeaway from that book was like whatever question they ask, if you're able to link it to like an example of something you've done in your like work history. So
Mm.
because that freelance for a few years, they'd ask a lot of questions at high res, um, be like, name a time that you struggled on a project, or like you got feedback that you didn't agree with, or that kind of stuff. A lot of questions like that. Which those questions kind of lend themselves to like finding an example, but even like more general questions,
Mm.
always try to find like an example of something you've done like in your work history, or if you don't have a lot of work history, even like as a student or something, from your school time to like call upon or like relate that answer to like, ah, yes, Uh, so
Mm.
when I was on this project, I had an experience that kind of taught me, and then kind of correlate it with like the answer to that question. So you're constantly like providing examples of stuff that you've done or like what you're capable of. And so I like in doing so, like because I'm kind of like an introverted person, but in doing that, you'll kind of like present as like kind of an extrovert. Because
Oh
you're always
yeah.
like kind of talking about examples and like talking about like, oh, I did this, and then I did this for this project, and I overcame this obstacle. So yeah, really brag on yourself. Always call it like I make like a list of examples before every interview of like things I can call on and try to relate questions to. Like a list of accomplishments.
Did you
I
bring
always try
like
to like work it into an interview question.
did you bring any notes or like, you can't bring any notes right during interview? I thought.
No, no. So these are for like digital interviews. But like
Uh
in person, you just have to memorize it,
yeah,
or
exactly.
just have a good memory of all the things you've done.
Did you always like forget to tell something or like after you like the feeling like when you finish the interview and then you thought like, oh my god, I should have said this, like, oh,
Oh yeah, every time.
every
But luckily,
time.
like since they're so long and you have so many panels, you can always work it in to the next interview. But yeah, you always forget something. But yeah, that was kind of the tip that I use and I still use.
Mm. Is
Like,
there like any questions that the one that tumbles you, like maybe something like, mm, usually the interview asks you like what's your weaknesses and then you don't know what to answer,
mhm.
right?
I think that's maybe a misconception because I don't think I've gotten that question a lot. I don't think people ask that question
Oh,
very often
really?
anymore.
Ah,
They might be the question might be more like name a time where you like had difficulty with a design prompt or had difficulty um, or there was like a miscommunication on a project or something like that. Uh, I
okay.
think yeah, interviewers generally won't ask like I mean they might like, but I've not encountered it.
Yeah.
But again, if it's a question that I'm like kind of struggling to like answer,
Mm-hmm.
then I just I just do my one special trick, and I just like a politician, I just kind of work an example and whether it applies or not. Let me redirect you to this accomplishment of mine.
Uh, are you open with like salary questions? And you don't have to name the numbers, but like,
Mhm.
yeah, sometimes they, ask for salaries, and then most junior
Yeah.
artists don't know what to answer.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I can talk about. I only know salaries for like U.S. based studios. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can
Okay.
say U.S. like junior artists might start at like 60 to 70,000 US a year.
Mm.
And then like senior level might be like 100,000. Uh, and then it just kind of goes up from there as you get more experience.
Hard.
But these are for like US based companies, like, and if you're living in the US, because a lot of companies will adjust their pay based on where you're living these days.
Oh, nice.
It's another like post-COVID thing.
Yeah. When the interviewee asks you that questions, like, what's your expected salary? Like, what do you do? Do you like do research first, or like, do you know like,
Yes.
yeah, junior
Yeah.
artist is like 60K maybe, or 70K. I want
Mhm.
70K.
Yeah.
Oh, you did that?
I mean, there's some websites where you can like look up average salary ranges and stuff. You could also like if you have friends in the industry, it doesn't like they can always say no, but you can be like, hey, what's your salary at the studios? Because I'm about to do some salary negotiations and I want to get a rough idea of what I should be asking for. Because I know it's such like a taboo thing to talk about,
Yeah,
but
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
but yeah, if someone asks me, I tell them.
Ah, okay,
Like if
nice.
they need if that information will help them with their negotiation, like we
Mm.
should be open about it. And then
Okay.
always if they have like a range,
Did,
post sometimes they'll have a range posted, but it's usually better to ask for the higher part of the range because then they'll come in lower and you'll have to maybe like meet in the middle.
did they always tell you the price first, or did they always ask you the price first?
Oh my gosh, so many places will like ask you for like what are your expectations, which is so
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm like, fine. I like it when they say it first because then I can be like, okay,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
it's higher or lower than what I
Oh, yeah,
want,
yeah, yeah.
go from there.
Yeah.
But then it's like sometimes you risk like going way too low, and then they're like, yes, we're gonna lowball them a low salary. It's like, oh, I could have asked for way more. Like I think in high res, I might have asked for too little.
Is it different from freelance? Because, like, I don't think freelance has any interviews, right? Because, like, you.
No, freelance. I mean, there might be like a quick like 20-minute like interview or something like that. But usually, yeah, it's just like because it's like at will. So they like if they don't like your first task, they can just not hire you again.
Yeah,
they don't,
true.
they don't need to be as kind of extensive with the interview. Like they don't have to be as thorough into your background. Like if you can't do the job, then they'll just pay you for a couple of days and then move on and find someone else.
Ah,
Whereas it's way more work for a studio to like bring in an artist. So they got to do
mm,
like your insurances and set up your retirement accounts and like get all the HR stuff set up. So it's like it's a big investment for a studio to bring someone in. Whereas like a freelancer, it's hardly any investment at all.
wait, so they did interview you, even if you're doing freelance, right?
Just like more of like an introduction and project brief. Like, hey,
Ah,
does it sound good to you? This is what we can pay you. So it's kind of like very informal, just like chat for freelance from my experience. Yeah, I wouldn't call it like a interview like they're
yeah, because
checking to see your personality and all that. They just want to
yeah, yeah,
see
exactly.
if you're okay with the project going forward.
Because I never got any interview for my freelance. Like,
Yeah.
that's kind of weird. You get interviews.
Yeah, maybe interview is the wrong word. But.
Yeah, maybe brief. Project, the correct word.
And then like pricing for freelances. Also very difficult,
Yeah,
but
how do you do your freelance pricing?
so how I do it is I take my if I was like freelancing right now, I would take my annual salary and like divide it by the number of work hours in a year,
Ah, yeah, same.
and then add yeah, and then I would add in like healthcare costs, like health insurance costs, and like if I have like living expense costs, I'd add some of that in. Like if I have a home office, and then I just add like a little bit extra just to be safe for like miscellaneous expenses.
It's like easier to do that once you have like your
Hmm.
annual salary and you just divide it by
Yeah.
hours and then how
Hmm.
many hours do you do
Yeah.
work. But like,
Hmm.
how do you do it in the very beginning? Because like you don't have
Yeah.
any annual salary. Like, did you just like shoot the price or?
So I did a bit of research. I think I asked a couple other artists, like online or somewhere, like what's a good starting freelance rate? What did I do? I think I did like 200 US dollars a day when I was starting like right out of school, which is pretty good salary for right out of school.
Yeah, yeah.
The thing is, that's like sometimes I'm working, sometimes I'm not, so it's not consistent.
Nice.
Um, but yeah, for like junior quality, that's probably as safe or as much as I could charge at the time based on like the quality of my work. But now it'd be like way more than that.
So, did you have any preferences? Like, did you like working in house or do you like working freelance?
Yeah, so personally, I really prefer working in-house. Um,
Oh, why is that?
well, one, there's, a consistent income.
Yeah, true.
But two, because as a freelancer, you're just kind of like I call it like just art monkey. You're just you're just getting art and then handing it off and then maybe, getting more art tasks. Like you're not really interacting with the team or on the project that much. And then you're always kind
Yeah.
of like at risk of like, they'll cut off your contract and you have to find a new project to work on. So it's like part just making art, handing it off, and then part like grinding to find new clients, which is a whole busy task in itself. Which I do not. I like the art part. I do not enjoy the finding clients part
Yeah.
of freelancing. It's so stressful. Whereas being in-house, you do not have to worry about that because you always
Mm,
have a client. And
yeah.
then also freelancing, you're kind of like bouncing from project to project, which some people like. Personally, I just like working on the same game for a long time,
Oh,
just
really?
because you can like really get into like the art style and all kind of like the nuances, and really kind of like dive into like a certain art style and get really good at it.
Yeah. And they
I think
also,
you can improve a lot in that time.
yeah, and also in house they give you like insurance and all that
Yeah, yeah,
benefits and all
yeah,
that stuff, right?
for sure.
Whereas
Oh yeah,
freelance, you have to find your own
yeah.
benefits.
Oh yeah, another thing. You got to deal with your own insurances and you got to set up your own retirement plans and
But like even after you had, now you have two children, right? And a wife.
yes. No.
And congratulations.
Mhm.
I haven't said
Thank you.
that.
Congratulations to you as well.
Hey,
Welcome to the
thank
club.
you.
I don't know that many concept artists that have kids. I think it's a lot.
Yeah. Like now that you have a family, do you still want in-house or do you want freelance so that you're closer to your families, you know?
Yeah, so I'm still preferring in-house,
Mm.
even though like my wife has a more stable career path than video games. Even though so we can get like health insurance through her and all that.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I still prefer working in-house. And a lot of studios, well, not a lot, but a good number of studios are more willing to have like in-house remote positions. And then freelance, yeah. You can always do freelance remote, but in-house remote because I've actually been in-house remote since March of 2020, which was like when everyone was getting sent home for COVID. So I
Mm.
had like a few months in-house at Hi-Res, which being in-house in person is great. It's like catered lunches. There was like a snack bar. They were like handing out, Hi-Res merch all the time. I got like tons of shirts and all sorts of like pins and stuff.
Oh, really? Nice.
Um, but then it's like, everybody's getting sent home for COVID quarantine.
Mm.
And oh man, it was so depressing because I was like, man, I just want to be in house and go and work in the studio in that studio environment. Um, but yeah, they sent us home. I was like working in house remote,
Mm.
and then I've been in house remote literally ever since then.
Oh, nice.
So I don't. I mean, I still like working in house remote. Like you spend a lot of time like Google Meets and Slack channels and all that stuff, Discord
Mm.
channels.
Yeah.
So you still get to talk to people and. But the other reason, oh yeah, sorry, the other reason that I really like working in house is because you actually get to work with other people on the team, on the development team, like environment artists and tech artists,
True. Yeah.
like level designers.
Yeah.
And so yeah, you just learn so much more about like the game development process. Like I learned so much in the game development process when I started at Hi-Res, like
Mm.
more in like the first couple months than like the whole 2 years I've been freelancing.
How is it working in the Hi-Res studio? Do you know?
Yeah, no, Hi-Res was great. Did like daily stand-ups, working on Smite. But yeah, like I said, it was really great in-house because it's like catered lunches and
Okay.
snacks all the time.
Did they give you like the
Merch
computers
drops.
and like the
Mm-hmm.
drawing
Yep, they
tablets?
provided a computer, tablet, pretty much anything. And most in-house studios will just send you whatever you need, unless it's like an indie studio or something.
Yeah.
And usually you might have to provide your own stuff because they can't afford it.
Yeah.
But like big studios will just give you what you need. No, and yeah, that was my first time working on a Cintiq. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I can never go back to a Wacom or to the other tablet.
Do you
It's like
still use
Cintiqs only.
Cintiqs or?
I do. I'm addicted to Cintiqs.
Oh man, cool. Yeah, I can't use any Cintiqs, man. My back hurts a lot.
Oh yeah, yeah. I had to get like a standing desk so I can like stand and
Oh
do it.
yeah.
So
Oh
I'm not
yeah.
like hunched over the Cintiq.
Yeah. 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 Standing desk here is pretty expensive, so yeah, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
bother.
But yeah, working on Smite was a lot of fun. Doing
Did you
environments
get
for like new maps for it.
Did you get like free
And I was
spirits or?
actually, oh yeah, oh
Oh,
yeah.
you did?
We'd get like the free currency, like every month we'd get like a bunch of free currency or something.
Oh
And
damn.
like there's like a little form you fill out and you could get some free currency.
Oh
So I had
nice.
like almost every skin in the game. Before I started at Hi-Res, I'd never played Smite before, but now I have like 600 hours in Smite.
Oh shoot.
I played so much Smite. It's not even funny.
Did you tell them like, yeah, I don't know anything about Smite or?
I did. I was like, they're like, have you played Smite before? I was like, no. I watched a video on it last week, and they still hired me, so they'll take it.
Oh cool. Yeah.
Yeah, lucky, I guess. So it's not it's usually not a deal breaker. I mean, obviously they prefer it if you've played the game, but
Yeah. 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 Same thing here in Stairway Games. Like I developed
yeah.
Coral Island, right? And they
Mhm.
are referencing games like Stardew Valley, Harvest Moon,
Oh yeah.
which I never played before. So
Do you have
like,
to play them as reference?
but my wife did play those games,
Okay,
you know,
okay.
like Stardew Valley, Harvest Moons, and what was the other one? Animal Crossing,
Hmm.
right? And so whenever they ask me like, "Hey, did you play Animal Crossing in this section?" I always like call my wife like, "Hey, did you have you ever been to this section of the game?" Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then she told me about the game, and then yeah, I told the office, "Yeah, I know the game."
Yeah, yeah. I'm a bit of an expert.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
But
a list
yeah,
of notes that your wife gave you. Listen, you can always become an expert on it after you join the studio, too.
yeah, exactly. I've become an expert in just 1 week.
There you go. But now I'm sure you played a ton of,
Oh yeah. Oh man.
cozy games.
Like I've played hundreds of hours now in Stardew Valley,
Oh, yeah.
playing multiplayers, and then maybe I'll ask my daughter to play Stardew Valley together.
Oh, yeah.
Coral
Yeah.
Island,
That's
obviously.
gonna be like a retro game, but
Yeah, exactly. With the pixel art and stuff. Yeah.
yeah.
When
Yeah.
you work in Hi-Res Studio, did you get like any pressure at all? Because Smite is you can't deny
Hmm.
that Smite is a big game. There's a ton
Hmm.
of fans. There's
Oh
esports
yeah,
scenes.
been around.
Yeah, it's been around a
Got a pretty
while.
dedicated fan base.
Exactly.
It
Do you
was
have any like pressures when working on it?
so so I didn't realize when I joined, but they showed me to my desk, and I'm like, wait, am I the only environment concept artist on Smite? Like, yes.
What?
So it's like
Seriously?
it was all on my shoulders. So they had an environment concept artist, but they had switched to another game within the studio.
Oh, okay.
So I was like replacing them, and I was like the only one doing the environment concept art on Smite for a while. Eventually, they came back, and it was the two of us. But at first, it was like it's all on my shoulders. I've gone from like just some outsourcing freelancer to like setting the vision for like uh, the new MOBA maps.
Whoa, wait, there's only two environment concept arts in Hi-Res?
And on Smite, they have like
Yeah,
multiple
yeah, on
games.
Smite.
And
Yeah.
then there's a bunch of like character and skin, like character skin concept artists. But so I was embedded on
Okay.
like the environment team, so I didn't really interact with them too much. Yeah, I think right now there's probably still just one environment concept artist on Smite.
Is it kind of lonely to be like you're only your own team? You know?
Well, you're like on a team with a bunch of environment artists.
Yeah,
So
true.
like you'll have your know all your stand-ups with them and get to know them and work with them a lot. Do a lot of like back and forth paint overs and all that kind of stuff. So
Mm.
I wouldn't say it's lonely.
You do have
But if
like
you want to like talk to like 2D artists, you'll have to
uh,
find some others to talk to.
yeah, but you do have art directors, right? Or like lead or like
Yeah,
what's
you'll have like either a lead concept artist or a lead environment artist that you'll
mm.
report to, or like an art director, associate art director, depends on how big the company is.
Yeah, did you like talk with those people, like the art directors for
So
like feedback or
Hi-Res, I reported to the lead environment artist, and so I never
mm.
like directly dealt with an art director. Sometimes I would like talk to producers a little bit, but mostly it was reporting to the lead environment artist. And then at Singularity, I reported to an art director, and then we had a lead concept artist at some point. So then I reported to him. But at Singularity, I'd still talk to like art director and producers a lot more
Okay.
than at Hi-Res.
Nice, nice.
And some of that is just because like maybe it's like the senior position you interact with more like higher level people at the studio.
Did you have like a hard time during work in house, like in any studios?
Hmm.
You know, like do you have like a stories of like you have like a really hard time like designing your stuff?
I wouldn't say a hard time. I think there's a constant like the pressure, like the internal voice where it's like imposter syndrome, where it's
Right.
like, oh, I'm an imposter. I shouldn't be here. They've made a mistake hiring me. I'm not good enough.
Oh.
Like there's always that little voice.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, personally, I kind of like use that voice to like push me to like improve or like, all right, this concept is okay, but how can I like take it to the next level? And so I'd look at like other art that like other artists in the studio were doing and like make sure that I'm like hitting that quality bar or even like exceeding it. Or like I'll
Mm-hmm.
take art from like at Hi-Res a lot of time I take art from like like Blizzard games, Riot games, and just try and like
Mm.
get as close as I can to like that quality of work. So you're always like pushing yourself to do a little bit better.
But like, did you feel like kind of there's a little feeling of depression when you're looking at others' work?
Oh, like no doubt, no doubt. For me, it's like ArtStation is when I get to go to like the homepage on ArtStation. Oh my
Exactly.
gosh. But I think what can make you feel a little bit better is if you limit it to like artists from your own country, and you'd be like, oh, okay, maybe I'm getting up there. But yeah, there's always a little bit of like measuring yourself against other artists, and which especially like if you're trying to get into a studio, you actually really need to do is like measure yourself against the artist at that studio.
Mm.
Because if your work is like kind of like below the studio average, then you might have a hard time getting an in-house studio job.
So we're nearing the end of our podcast, and there are a few questions from our community, and I hope you can help me answer these questions. So the first one is from Natasha.
Hmm.
She says, "Hi Justin, can you share with us how do you handle things such as insecurities, especially when you are in the industry? Do you personally feel motivated or inspired or envious instead when seeing other artists' work? I know this might be a silly question, but as a beginner artist, I still loads to learn. I keep facing this feeling, and it is wondering how an established artist like you handles similar situations.
Hey, Natasha, that is actually a great question. I feel all of the above all the time.
Yeah.
Like it's just a constant barrage of, looking at your art and being like, sometimes I'll finish a painting and be like, oh, this looks really great. And then I'll hop on ArtStation and be like, my work is garbage. But personally, I think I just try to turn it into like inspiration, like, setting goals and all that. Sorry, could you repeat the second part of the question again?
I know this might be a silly question, but as a beginner artist and still loads to learn, I keep facing these feelings and is wondering how an established artist like you handle the similar situations.
hmm Yeah, especially as a junior artist, like you're constantly comparing yourself to like at FCD, it was like comparing to classmates,
Yeah.
and then once you get out, it's like trying to find other junior artists kind of compare yourself to.
Mm.
But it's like it's important to compare to like motivate yourself, but don't spend too much time on like ArtStation looking at like amazing pieces and being like, I'll never achieve this. Um, because eventually you will, but you just got to be patient with the process.
Mm.
Try to find your peers. Try to like keep up a standard of like try and outpace your peers if you can.
Mm.
Um, don't be like looking at like senior artists in art directions and being like trying to be like I'm trying to get to this level in like a month.
Mm.
Like it's gonna take time. Got to be patient with the process with each piece. Push yourself a little bit further. But yeah, it never really goes away. Sorry.
do you have
Even I'm
do you
looking
have a
at work
time
where it's
like where
like, oh
you
man, I
have to
can push this
stop,
further.
stop stop drawing or
I've never gotten to the point where I'm like, I have to stop drawing. Sometimes I'll get like distracted with other interests by like mess around in Unreal Engine or like do some Blender stuff or
mm.
so I mean if you're getting like if it's really stressing you out, just like take a break from a piece, try maybe like some other exercises or like a lot of times I'd go back to like just do a study. Because like your studies, it's not for like the socials or posting anywhere, it's just like for your own benefit. So if like
Mm.
if you're getting stressed out, be like, oh, the art that I'm posting is not, meeting a certain quality. Like do some more studies, something loose, something like no pressure. It's
But
like when you're making something to like post, there's like a lot of pressure on yourself.
yeah.
Do some studies, and then you can like build up. And or sometimes I just take a break from a piece, come back to it a few days later
Nice.
with a fresh set of eyes.
I do have like this feeling of not envious, but like a weird feeling when I've been a professional artist for like 5 years, right? And then there's
Mhm.
a new artist, like, and their works are way better than me. I'm like,
Yes,
what's
yes.
happening?
I mean, yeah, that's like a whole different problem for like more experienced
Yeah,
artists. It's
exactly.
like some newcomer comes onto the scene and they're like blowing you out of the water.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's important to recognize like there's always going to be people who like really stand out in their art,
Mm.
and they will, they'll get into the industry real quick, and all the studios will want to get them. And there will always be like, I don't know, come like me, like art prodigies, which I don't see myself as. Uh, that being said, like I think I don't know if I brought this up already, but a lot of my mindset, even at FCD, was like, okay, I'm going to be a concept artist, and I'd see like other classmates kind of like fall off or kind of like stop, try harding by the end of the year, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to be try harding this whole year, even
Mm.
after FCD. I'm going to be spending as much time as I can and grinding on this, and all I have to do is outlast everyone else, because like everyone else, they'll be like, oh, it's too hard to get into the art industry. I'll give up and do something else. So if I outlast all of those people, then I'll become a great artist and I'll get a
Uh,
job.
oh, nice.
So that's kind of my mindset going into it, and it worked. So hey, try it out.
Yeah, that's a great
You just
mindset.
gotta yeah keep working after everyone else has given up.
Mm. Yeah, I
And
think.
there'll always be people coming up who are like super great, but just keep working.
Mm. Yeah, I think like most students doesn't have like the right mindsets
hmm
to begin with, so that's why I think your insecurity uh, arise. I think that's the word, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, I think if you, uh, like, for me, I don't compare my work a lot to other people's. Like I compare my work to
Hmm.
myself.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great way to like handle these situations. Like other works are for inspiration. Yeah, that's great, but like
Yeah.
don't compare your works,
S-
you know, because like
Yeah.
maybe they
So
have more experience, maybe they,
yeah,
you know, learn before you.
maybe they're painting at 10 years old or something.
Yeah,
You never
exactly.
know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, don't compare yourself. You know,
Mhm.
just be yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes if I need a little ego boost, I'm feeling down, I'll just take one of my really old art pieces and just do another version of it and be like, wow, look how much I've improved.
Oh, do you still keep your old works?
Oh yeah, I keep everything
Oh,
as
nice.
much as I can.
Ah, nice. I
Like a
didn't.
Google Drive with like 1,000 PSDs at least, probably more.
Ooh, I want to see that.
Yeah, it's top secret.
Okay, so one more questions. This one is from Iko. Uh, Hi Justin. Hope you're doing all right. I was wondering if you have any tips for finding a freelance job or any recommendation platforms for finding freelance work. Since I am
Hmm.
very new and have just been into freelance for 6 months and wanted to expand my freelance journey even wider. Hope you're doing well.
Yes, that is another good question. Um, so there's a lot of things that I did when I was freelancing to try and like find work. A lot of there's like if you have an alumni group with like other students, that's always a good place to check into. I mean, like I said, I just spammed out a bunch of like game studios, even like smaller and indie stuff. The other thing that I think is really important, actually, that I don't think I mentioned, is it's not like all the time, but posting like work on your socials. Like I think ArtStation is, I think I know a lot of people have like migrated off ArtStation, but a lot of people still use ArtStation.
Hmm.
Kind of keep like posting work on your ArtStation. Like I was posting personal art, like maybe like one to three pieces a month.
Hmm.
And even if it's like, it's not like amazing work, I think it's still like if you're still doing like decent junior level work, you should still kind of share it just to get your work out there. Because sometimes smaller studios or indie studios might look at that and be like, oh, we want to hire you for like this, even like a shorter freelance job.
Hmm.
Um, Yeah, it's like the more you post, the more likely you are to get like people reaching out to you asking about like freelance work. Um, I mean, it's a bit tough right now because the industry is like in a downturn, but I mean, it'll definitely turn around at some point. So yeah, just keep posting. Try to get like your name and your portfolio out there as much as you can. I post on like Instagram. I don't know if Instagram is like a great one, but every
Yeah.
now and then I'll post on there.
I think there's a new one. Like, what was it? Kara?
Kara, yeah,
Kara.
yeah,
Kara.
definitely.
Yeah.
I need to make a Kara app applicant or a profile page actually. Need to get
Yeah.
around to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think a lot of artists are using that one now. And then just keep an eye out on like job boards. Sometimes I'll just Google search like when I was feeling like concept art freelance or like
Yeah.
or concept art. Just I guess some studios are just looking for like a shorter term thing. But yeah, there's no like one size fits all solution. I think it's just kind of a grind. Try as many avenues as you can get.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd definitely say like if one takeaway is to like keep posting work, even if you're like in between projects or something. Just keep doing personal art and posting it up. Just try and get your stuff out there so
Yeah.
people have eyes on it.
Yeah. Did you have like this situation where you're looking for freelance work, but then the studio really likes your work and they want you in their house?
I have actually.
Oh yeah.
Um, I was doing a bit of like after hours freelance at High Res.
Mm.
It was just like a little bit. But they really wanted me to come in house, but I'd already accepted a job at Singularity 6. So I was like, I can't come in house. But yeah, I mean, it could like lead to something. Start doing like really good freelance, and they decide they want to turn it to an in-house position.
Mm.
impossible.
It's like most studios in Indonesia, they don't like freelance. I don't know the reason why.
Mm,
They like you working in house. I think it's
hmm.
because better communications, like because
Yeah.
there are lots of smaller studios, indie studios in here, so I
Mm,
think they prefer a good communication rather than like freelance
yeah.
with little communication, no team thing. Yeah, so
And I think it's tough for freelancers right now because there's so many like art outsourcing studios who are kind of like swallowing up a lot of the work that
oh
used to go
yeah,
to freelancers.
did you ever try applying to those studios, like the outsourcing studios?
I think I did, but they have like a really high standard these days for art
Yeah,
outsourcing
they do.
studios.
Yeah, yeah,
It's tough.
yeah. Like
It's
most of
almost
them.
easier to get in a studio job sometimes.
Yeah, some of them have like really weird requirements, like Unreal Engine.
Yeah.
You have to master Unreal Engine 5 or like Blender.
Mhm. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of them are started by like industry veterans who have like a ton of experience and have worked on a bunch of big games.
Oh wait,
So it's hard to compete for those.
Speaking of Blenders and Unreal Engines, do you use
Mhm.
3D at all during your work?
Um, Sometimes I'll do like a super basic block out, just like cubes and cylinders and planes and stuff. Like I don't spend, and even that's like less than like maybe like 5% of the time. A lot of times I will use if I'm in house, I'll use do like paintovers or something of like assets that are like in game because a lot of times I want to like reuse assets for like a new area, trying to like reuse assets that we already have to keep like the
Mm.
amount of work down. So I'll paint over those a lot, or I'll like go into Unreal Engine and like set up a scene and do like a paint over of that. That's I do that a lot, both at high res and Singularity. But I don't
Nice.
like make assets in Blender or anything like that, or even like detail something out much.
Because like I did use a lot of 3Ds during my work
Hmm.
here, and they sometimes exported it to the engine to try it
Hmm.
the design out. So yeah, that's
Hmm.
why I think like 3D like I use a lot of 3Ds nowadays, like and kind
I
of
mean,
less
yeah,
drawings.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's a good skill to have. Like our lead concept artist,
it is. Yeah,
on Paleo, was really good at like modeling things in Blender. He'd even like model something in Blender and then import it into
yeah.
Unreal and then use that and then do like paint overs of it.
Oh yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it's a good skill to have. I just don't like spending that much time in 3D. It's like it's just easier. I'll just do it in 2D.
I kind of wish that when our terms at FZD they teach us Blender
Hmm.
instead of Google. What were we using?
It was like
Google Sketch.
SketchUp, yeah,
Yeah,
Google
exactly.
SketchUp. But, I don't think Blender was that big back then. I think it was kind of
It
like just
wasn't.
becoming
Yeah.
popular.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that would have been much better to learn.
It is. With better lighting, better 3D. You can
Yeah,
import it
it's,
FBX.
no,
Yeah.
Blender's a great program to like, even just like learn the basics. Like even if you're not gonna,
Mm.
go super deep into it, even just the basics to like block out some cubes and some
Mm.
basic perspective and like some quick lighting or something is really useful.
Yeah. And we were taught ZBrush, but I never touched it again after MZDs.
Yeah, unless you're like a character designer, you don't really see much.
Yeah.
Even then, a lot of character concept artists don't even use ZBrush.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not super practical.
Yeah, so yeah, I think that's everything for the podcast, guys. So thank you,
Awesome,
Justin,
awesome.
for joining our podcast, man.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you for having me. This is my first ever podcast, so I'm very excited.
Ah, nice. So, do you have any words for like aspiring artists or students that's still learning concept art?
Words of, I wish. I wish I had super words of wisdom that will change your life. Nah, like I said, just keep at it. Stay on the grind and just keep going after everyone else gives up, and you'll get there. And it might not be right away, but be patient and you know eventually get the job.
All right. Once again, thank you so much, Justin, for joining our podcast. And to everyone who's listening, thank you so much. Uh, Please check out White Brush Academy's Instagram and Discord if you want to learn more about concept arts. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you guys for listening. Bye bye. And